Welcome. Welcome to the stream, everyone. We had serious technical difficulties on the first round. Going for the second round, the good news is the ideas are fresh. I'll be able to go through the things I was talking about a little more confidently. Welcome. My name is Asa Merritt. I am a fiction writer pursuing short fiction at the moment, and this is my writing channel. What I've been doing the last couple weeks is going live Monday morning to talk about my goals for the week, my plan for the week, what I intend to write, what I intend to read. I'm finding that reflecting relatively rigorously about my writing practice on this channel, sort of at the end of the week, I talk about what happened during the week. And now at the beginning of the week, I'm setting out some goals. I'm finding that this kind of process is really helping me focus, helping me write better. And I think it will help all of us write better if we, share this. So if you're watching this, I encourage you to, at the very least, think about your goals, write them down, perhaps put them on a sticky note on the wall, and you're more than welcome to share them in the chat as well. And I'll share them out loud here to the universe if that's something you're interested in. So if it's your first time here, I'm a fiction writer. Like I said, my background is in dramatic writing and screenwriting. I wrote an Audible show called Six Sermons starring Stephanie Hsu from Everything Everywhere All at Once. I'm coming to AuthorTube as an experienced writer, but also as someone who's a true beginner, engaging with fiction, short fiction, prose, really for the first time in my writing life. So if you want to follow along with this journey, you're more than welcome. I'd love to have you. So last week, I set forth what I identified as a big idea, the big idea that I wanted to apply to my writing last week. And last week, what I applied was to try to be a little less ambitious with my reading and writing goals, try to be a little kinder on myself, try to kind of say, hey, listen, you don't have to read 8 stories a week, you don't have to write 50,000 words this week, etc. It wasn't that many, but generally trying to simplify the goals so that they became super manageable. So last week I told myself, hey, listen, if you read 1 short story a day, that is a success on the reading front. And if you write every day, it doesn't matter how much, it doesn't matter how long. If you sit down with the story, engage with it, activate your imagination, put pen to paper, write at least 1 sentence, you're doing it. And by taking the pressure off, I found it really successful. I found that an amazing way to kind of unlock my creativity. And it made me realize how much you can get blocked when there's a lack of ease to your process. So it was a really valuable week, and I'm definitely going to continue to take that into this week. Just the gentleness, kind of a softness around the process, which is tough sometimes because I think what we're taught, or certainly the narrative that we're given by so many sort of rivers of narratives in society, is that you've got to hustle, you've got to work so hard. All the stories you hear about professional athletes, how they got up at dawn every single day and practice for hours. And, it's easy to think that the only way through is by like working harder. And I've really subscribed to that so much, and I'm trying to get away from that. I tried to get away from it last week, and I found that really helpful. But the big idea this week is to continue that. But additionally, what I want to do this week is guard or sort of make more sacred, if you will, the writing time, to make it more hermetic, to make it more focused, to try to do a little bit better of a job of like distancing myself from the rest of my life prior to sitting down to write, so that when I sit down to write, I'm truly transported and no part of my brain is stuck thinking about another responsibility or something at home or anything like that. So what does that look like practically? I think it means starting earlier in the day, working before other distractions have really landed. I think it looks like doing a little bit of pre-writing, writing on a notebook prior to sitting down at the typewriter or the word processor, the computer, to get in touch with my unconscious a little bit more. I'm a morning page type person, not like strict, but I do believe in writing by hand to get into a deeper flow state. These are things I know about myself as a writer, but I think I've forgotten because just recently got a new like day job and there's been other stuff going on. And so I want to kind of get back to that part of my practice. So at the end of the week, hopefully there'll be a vlog of some kind where I can tell you about how this goes. The specific writing goals that I have. If you've been following the channel, I've been working hard on a Weird Wild West story. I want to continue revising that today. It keeps getting, excuse me, into a better and better place. I'm excited about it. Laura, I don't know if you're, Laura Huntress, I don't know if you're still on. I submitted one of the stories, Sam, one of those 2 stories, the ghost story. There is a flash fiction piece that I wrote called Sam. It's a ghost and a still living person, a little bit of a love story. I found a place to submit that late last night, so I send it off. So I now have 2 stories awaiting reply. That's the status of Sam and Mr. Editor, a flash piece of Weird Wild West fiction. The Visit is another piece of flash fiction. It's weird fiction and it's weird fiction. So I still haven't found a spot that I feel like is a good fit. But these are my writing goals. On the reading front, 6 stories this week, as I've said. And it's similar diet to last week. I'm continuing to work through Thomas Ligotti, this American horror writer and philosopher, extremely dark writer, but extremely rich, loving his work, continuing to work my way through Exhalation, the Ted Chiang collection. The next row up there, well, you see, these are the 2 story clubs that I run on this channel, if it's your first time here. On Wednesdays, my friend Sarah and I read 1 story a week from this book, The Big Book of Science Fiction. And on Thursdays, we read 1 story a week from this anthology, The Dark Descent. If you go back to the beginning of the video, the names of the specific stories that we're reading this week are there. Good and Evil is the new Samantha Schweblin collection. Samantha Schweblin is my hero right now in my writing journey. I aspire to her career. I aspire to her command of language. I aspire to create the atmosphere that she creates in her stories. She has a brand new collection coming out this week, or in a few weeks, but they're releasing 1 story in advance this week. I'm going to read that. Last but not least, the text is small, Beneath Ceaseless Skies. This is another magazine that publishes speculative fiction. They pay 8 cents a word, which is the pro rate. What that means is that if a magazine pays a pro rate, they are eligible for awards. I'm really trying to get into the mindset and the habit and the workflow of submitting my work, my stories, to prestigious outlets first, and then if they get accepted, kind of continuing down to the semi-pro markets, etc. To do this, I need to be reading these magazines. So Beneath Ceaseless Skies is 1 such magazine, which I haven't dipped into yet. I haven't read any of their stories. Learning, I learn. I could just continue to study. I think that's so valuable and important. And I've been to film school, and I was an English major, and I've taken so many classes, but I'm still taking classes. And one of these great classes I'm taking is this ongoing class called Life Writing with the Afrofuturist writer Stephen Barnes and Tananarive Due. Additionally, continuing to work through this really, really strong literary criticism book about horror writing, which I'm just chipping away at very slowly. But it is proving to be strong material. I would love to hear about your goals. I set up this thing on the channel called, I want to say, Speak Pipe. You can leave a voice memo. It's so cool, and I hope there's some folks out there brave enough to tell me what you're working on, and maybe I can share it on a video, or leave something in the comments later, or join our Discord. There's a growing community of writers around this channel, and it's a really good, positive space. And so I would genuinely love to hear about what you're working on this week. Is that all? I think that's all. These other things don't really apply. Really appreciate, Laura Hunter says, yes, so proud of you. I submitted my first piece to Orion's Belt thanks to you. Laura, congratulations. That is to be celebrated. I hope I hope they take it. That is so cool. And I really appreciate the vote of confidence on your end. And thank you for noting that the stream was falling apart.